We are back and we're on the road, but I'm back to my partner in crime, Alexis and Rodrigo for LaLigaCentro. This is match week 2 we've seen, obviously, going into match week 3. So plenty, and I mean plenty to talk about. As you can see, I'm still on the road. Was in Manchester the other day, was in Vigo to Madrid to Manchester to take in what I thought was just going to be Manchester United Liverpool. But Rodri, I managed to see a certain Casemiro be unveiled at Old Trafford officially to a roaring applause from the Stretford end. A day that he started crying and saying goodbye in Madrid and ended up celebrating in Manchester. But we'll talk about Casemiro in a bit because still plenty to talk about. But Rodri, how have you been? You went from Pamplona to I don't know where now.
Oh, well, Madrid. I'm in Madrid. Hello, Alexis. Yeah, I haven't been traveling like you in this very beginning of La Liga, but you know,
So you've not been working.
Yeah, I know. I've been working this weekend from Madrid because I went to Atletico Madrid Villarreal. Not the best day for Atletico Madrid fans because of all that happened at the Metropolitano, but you know, I'm still fine. I'm ready for traveling because in the next weeks I'm gonna be traveling for, you know, all around Spain. But anyway, I'm happy because La Liga is back, and this is something that I needed.
Yeah, La Liga is back and we're in full swing. So many stories to talk about. So let's just get straight into it because if you can see, I have so many ojeras right now. The bag's under my eyes because I've
just
barely not seen my own bed in like 2.5 weeks right now. But we all love it. So let's start off with Real Madrid, the champions, shall we? Because perfect start, 2 wins from 2. I got to go to Vigo. By the way, gorgeous city. If you've never been to Galicia, go to Galicia. What amazing food as well. But they went up against Celta de Vigo. Celta de Vigo huffed and puffed. They threw everything they had at Madrid from the first minute. Honestly, it was such an entertaining game, especially that first half, end-to-end action. Obviously, in the second half, you know, they ran out of steam, and that's when Real Madrid, well, does what Real Madrid does, and that is find their way out of situations. But this was a convincing win, Rodri. And I think if you compare it to the first win against Almeria, where they actually have to come from behind, I remember speaking to a couple of fans from Celta before this match, and they actually said they fancy their chances against Real Madrid. They were thinking maybe a draw, maybe they could get a last-minute winner, because the Madrid that we saw against Almeria, who are recently promoted, didn't look as impressive. But Real Madrid, massive statement, don't you think, to kind of, I suppose, put to rest some of the doubts that anybody had after that match against Almeria?
Yeah, everyone in Madrid was like, okay, let's see what will happen against Celta Vigo because it's a squad under construction yet. We didn't really know what Celta Vigo was going to play against Real Madrid, but finally Real Madrid, I don't know if you think the same, but looked like the same team than last season in terms that, you know, it's a collective, it's a block, they defend, they attack in the same way, and doesn't really matter if Casemiro leaves, that you have Tchouaméni. Doesn't really matter if Toni Kroos is not in shape, that you have Camavinga. I mean, it's like the block, the collective under or upper any individualities, because you still have Benzema, you still have Courtois, you still have Modric. What a game by Modric, and what a goal by the Croatian. But you know, look like the same. I don't know if you think the same when you were in the page.
Yeah, I think exactly the same thing. I remember even when we were doing the show, of course, with our ESPN FC colleagues in Dan Thomas, Ale Moreno as well. Ale was saying this just smells like the Madrid team that we saw last season as well. But they played as well like a Madrid team that we've come to know and love, the way that they find a way to win at all costs. And you think of that team, of course, and Carvajal came back because he was injured for the first match too. You never know how people are at the start of the season, especially coming off of an injury, albeit a small one. As you said, no Toni Kroos. I remember seeing Luka Modric warming up alone, and it broke my heart because, yeah, Toni Kroos, he had a cold, so he didn't even make the trip. And then, of course, the news broke just the night before that Casemiro was joining Manchester United. And it was the first time in such a long time that we are seeing this, you know, iconic midfield trio with just Luka, you know, and Luka, who spoke so well about how, you know, Casemiro played such an important part there, how he protected that back line. how, you know, he was almost like a big brother that just ran to anybody that decided to bother them. And Ale Moreno even said it before in our pre-match show on ESPN Plus that this is not something that you easily can recover from. This is not something that, you know, Real Madrid can just say, it's okay, we've got to cover. Because even the day before, Ancelotti was saying, look, we have midfielders. I can't ask any of them to play like Casemiro. I can't ask Tchouaméni to be the next Casemiro. That would be unfair. And the truth is the midfielders that they have aren't exactly a Casemiro type midfielder, you know? And I think that we were expecting more of an impact, or maybe Madrid to kind of suffer a little bit more than they did. But really and truly, they found their way. And I remember we spoke to Vinny Jr. after the match too, in our flash interview, and he said it was so important for the young players, of course, Camavinga, who we know his quality already. I mean, he's not even 20 years old yet and already has the Champions League and La Liga in his debut season. And Tchouaméni, I think he picked up a lot of criticism after that first match against Almeria, but still, he came up trumps in this one. And I think, as Ancelotti said, he told me in our flash, he said they're very confident about their future. So the future does look bright, right? So all good in the hood for Madrid.
Yeah, definitely. I think Real Madrid is young top players builder in the way that you have Vinicius, you have Rodrigo, you have Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde, and all of them are under 25 years old. This is something amazing for Real Madrid. You said that, and you mentioned now that they already have a Champions League in their palmarès, as we say here in Spain, and this is something incredible that none of the main clubs of Europe really have. And that DNA that Real Madrid has is something that is really important for the future. Now everyone is saying like, okay, Casemiro is not gonna be at Real Madrid any longer. Okay, but you have Tchouaméni. And if you look back at Celta de Vigo game, it looks like Tchouaméni has been playing for Real Madrid for years. It's like, okay, why didn't you, or better said, when did you adapt that fast? Which is something amazing for Real Madrid. And this is something really special that only this club has. So I think that people may start forgetting about Modric, Casemiro, and Toni Kroos, and start thinking about the future, because in less than 2-3 years, you're going to have Camavinga, Valverde, and Tchouaméni, which is maybe even better for the future, respecting indeed Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, because they are so young that Modric, Casemiro, and Toni Kroos at that age weren't even at Real Madrid at a top level. So that's why, you know, the future for Real Madrid looks really brighter.
Yeah, really, really brighter, especially because I remember even when the news broke about Casemiro, all the statisticians were fighting to find the closest stats to compare Tchouaméni's career at his age to Casemiro when he was Tchouaméni's age. And Tchouaméni actually has better stats than Casemiro at this time. But you know what, I think the main thing as well that Vinny Jr. was telling us off camera too was that yes, Casemiro's Casemiro. He's you know, a Real Madrid legend. We know what he can do on the pitch, but the things that we didn't see are how he's off the pitch. He almost called him like a godfather, you know, in the dressing room, how he is, how, you know, how he acts, and we know how important that is. And yes, of course, Real Madrid took care of business against Celta de Vigo. We expect them to continue taking care of business, but again, as we said, this is a big player to miss, one that I think a lot of fans that we spoke to were surprised. They knew that they had to get over or start to prepare themselves mentally to say goodbye to Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro eventually, but they all said they thought it was going to be Modric first, because Casemiro is actually the youngest of the three, and the fact that it happened so quickly kind of took everyone by surprise. So
we thought he was going to be the first one, but he's going to be the last one.
But he's going to be the last one.
Yeah,
Lucas at home, man. He's not going to leave. And look at how he's playing. We didn't even talk about his goal because honestly, it left me speechless. Even Carlo Ancelotti said it. He was like, "What?" I mean, it speaks for itself. But I want to know, before we move on, of course, to the other side of Madrid, which you were at, do you eventually think that they may feel the impact, or they may suffer a bit of Casemiro? Obviously, this was the first match without him since he made it official that he was going to United. So you felt like the players had to make a response. And Vinny Jr. said that they had to make a response. But how big of a miss do you think he'll be overall, even though they have the young ones that look so bright?
Yeah, I mean, Casemiro is the one to miss in big games. I know the last season Casemiro was at his level. I mean, if you see the overall season, but you know, in the key points, in the key games of the season, Casemiro was there, and I think his experience is going to be missed by Real Madrid. That's why Ancelotti tried to convince him before leaving on Friday morning. He was like, okay, why are you not staying here with Real Madrid, with your teammates, with the club, with the titles you're gonna win? And that's why he tried to convince him. Even there was a talk in between Ancelotti and Casemiro in the mid of the US tour, trying from Ancelotti to tell Casemiro that he was going to be a starter despite Tchouaméni's arrival, because he has more experience, and in the key games he has to prove, and he was going to prove that he was going to be the starter. I think in Champions League big games, that is where Casemiro is going to be missed, because Tchouaméni doesn't really have the pace in elite games for something that Casemiro has been working for in the past years. But I understand the Real Madrid has to bet for this guy because he's really young. The future for him is not only the future, but the present is bright for Tchouaméni. He's still 22 years old. He already has been called by France international team for more than 8 times. I understand Real Madrid betting for Tchouaméni, but in the big games, he's going to be missing Casemiro, because he was, so experienced that Tchouaméni still has to learn that.
Yeah, exactly. And Real Madrid, I suppose, have a big game coming up in El Derby de Madrid. We're going to be there. Yeah. It's going to be on ESPN. Cannot wait for that, because we're going to get to speak to a couple of players before from both camps. So you guys look out for that. But while we're talking about El Derby de Madrid, I say it's a big game, but it's only going to be a big game if Atletico de Madrid play like Atletico de Madrid, the ones that we know and love. But this past weekend, I mean, I didn't get to see the match against Villarreal. I was following it on my phone because I was stuck on a plane on the tarmac that had issues with the front wheel. I know, it wasn't fun. We were stuck for 4 hours, made some friends, but it's okay. But all I saw was the 2 goals, my notifications going in after. And then when I landed, I saw some ugly clips, I want to say, of players, Mario Hermoso, I got a lot of time for Mario Hermoso, getting involved with the fans, but it just smelled of frustration boiling over. Diego Simeone looked a lot more stressed than before, and we're watching his stress level because everyone's wondering what's going to happen. And Villarreal is a top opposition. We know this. I think normally a result like this wouldn't surprise us. The fact that it was at the Wanda. Overall, I'm going to say, honestly, Rodri, I wasn't too surprised that this happened. And that's not because of the greatness of Villarreal and the fact that they're a worthy opposition, because I keep saying Atletico Madrid, I don't know what Atletico Madrid they want to be. And I don't even think they know what Atletico Madrid they want to be. But you got to see the match. So what happened? Was it like self-destruction, as we have seen?
Well, first of all, Villarreal, I think they have like 1 gear more than Atletico Madrid on physical terms, because they were playing the week before Conference League games, and I think they have that physical moment like better than Atletico Madrid. And secondly, I think sorry.
So are they fitter, like you think, overall?
Yeah, I think so. And secondly, I think that Atletico Madrid was kind of confident after Getafe win, in which, I mean, Atletico Madrid proved that they were really huge in the upfront with Joao Felix, with Morata. Yeah. And they said, like, okay, now we're playing home, and now we're going to prove everyone that this is our year. But finally, Villarreal, I think they made, with Unai Emery, they made an intelligent tactical situation, because they were like, okay, we're going to get the ball possession, and we're going to try to be faster, in terms that Atletico Madrid are like kind of lost. And finally, Atletico Madrid, they had some chances, but they missed them all. And, the chances that Villarreal had, they made it. So that's why at the end of the game, Atletico Madrid fans were like, okay, why didn't we went a little bit more, in Villarreal's area? And why didn't we score? Because we have 5 strikers. We have Joao Felix, we have Antoine Griezmann, we have Morata, we have Correa, and we have Mateus Cunha. And, and Villarreal would dream would dream of having at least one of these strikers. And this is something that Atletico Madrid fans doesn't really understand, because they say, okay, we got the players, we got the people, but we don't have the results. And it looked like Atletico Madrid was like the same team that we saw last season. And this is something that really worry the fans. And I don't know why Atletico Madrid needs a little bit more to convince the fans to say, okay, we passed the page and we're going to be something different than last year.
Well, interesting that you should say that, because that's the same thing that everyone was saying last season, that they have the firepower up front, they have the attackers up front. So should Simeone let them play like that, which we know is not usually the Atletico de Madrid way. And then we saw instances where probably they did give them a bit more attacking freedom, but they left themselves vulnerable at the back defensively. And we saw some horrible defensive errors, which again is not Atletico de Madrid. Imagine Diego Simeone with a vulnerable defensive team. That's unheard of. So,
but you didn't sign any central back. I mean, last year we knew what the problem was. It was defense. And you get Mario Hermoso, who wasn't at his level. You had Savic, wasn't at his level. Jimenez was injured the whole season. And now you have with Axel Witsel. Yeah. But he's a midfield and he's playing as a center back. That's the problem for Atletico Madrid. You needed a center back and you only could renew Felipe Hermoso. That was the worst defender of last season.
He's such a harsh cookie, but that's why we pay you to say all the saucy things. But with that said, then, what, I guess apart from a centre-back, what else does this Atletico de Madrid team need? Because now we're looking, transfer windows are closing. They've got probably, 2 match days before, their first, I don't want to say their first big match. I feel like every match for Atletico de Madrid is a big match these days. But before that clash against Real Madrid, it's at the Wanda. They're going to want to put out a proper performance for that one. So, how do they get things together? How does Simeone, who I know you know very well, steady this ship that, let's be honest, we've been questioning since last season?
They need to win. They need to win. That's all. They need to win and convince the people like they are the strong team that they used to be 2 years ago, and they need that win. For example, Valencia could be something interesting for Atletico de Madrid, because it's a key game for them. Because now, if you ask Atletico de Madrid fans, they would answer you, I don't know which team we're going to see in Valencia, if the team that won at Getafe or if the team that lose against Villarreal. That is what they need. Something like, okay, a little bit of more safety back at the back, because you got Nahuel Molina, who was sent off in the first game in Metropolitano. Then you got Reinildo, who is still at his top. But, you're not going to have Savic because he's already injured. What's up with the injuries at Atletico de Madrid? Because they are always like this. I mean, I don't know what happens there with the injuries.
And they're always long injuries too.
Yeah, I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's about the physical preparation or whatever, but they have an issue there, and they need to win at the end of this, and they need to calm down, because it's not only about what happens in the pitch, because what happens outside the pitch is also important. What we saw about those clips of Mario Hermoso facing the crowd, people at the crowd insulting Mario Hermoso and insulting Griezmann. I don't know why they insult Griezmann. I mean, there's still a little bit of chance for some other clubs to get Griezmann, and Griezmann is Simeone's priority for this season. Yeah. So I don't know. They need a bit of, they need a win to calm everything down.
They do need a win to calm everything down. And actually, that's what Barcelona needed as well, because after that first match that we were there, all the bells and whistles, we're so excited to see that match. Barcelona opening with this new era of Barcelona, shiny new signings, especially Robert Lewandowski. I remember even in our pre-match joking, that same Thomas Muller joke that we call him Robert Lewandowski, and eventually it ended 0-0. But the second match, they definitely came out roaring. Lewandowski getting on the goal sheet, and Ansu Fati just reminding us why we love Ansu Fati and forget how young he is, but so talented and weirdly so experienced too. And against top opposition in Real Sociedad, and we know that going to San Sebastian, getting a win there is not easy, but somehow Barcelona almost made it look that way, right?
Everyone forgot who Ansu Fati is.
Yeah.
You know, with this transfer window in Barcelona, everyone were like, okay, we have to talk about Dembele's renewal, we have to talk about Rafinha signing, but everyone forgot about Ansu Fati. And Ansu Fati is the top player for me at Barcelona. Is well, Leo Messi used to be in the past. He's mentioned to be that new guy, and with the injuries that he had and he struggled, I mean, he said, okay, I'm here and I'm gonna be the next massive player for Barca. And I'm still young because I don't know how old is he, but he might be around 20, 21 year old yet. So that's why you know, still we have to talk about Dembele, we have to talk about Rafinha, we have to talk about Lewandowski indeed, because they are, you know, experienced and really talented top players. But Ansu Fati, my God, when he came into the pitch, it was like, you know, like a fresh air for Barca, and proving that he's still at his best and he's going to be even higher. So that's why, you know, I'm in love with Ansu Fati. I think he has everything. And if he recovers from his injuries, you know, as he should, he's going to be, you know, the key player that Barca needed and the Barca didn't have last season.
It's funny that you should say that as well, because obviously we're trying to figure out how, or this new identity of this new looking Barcelona team in that first match against Rayo Vallecano, which ended up being a stalemate and just really a poor match, I think, overall. But the second match against Real Sociedad, which again, we keep saying top opposition and not an easy place to play. But Barca made it look good. And I remember we were speaking to our colleague and former Barcelona player, Luis Garcia. And I know you said what you say about Ansu Fati. He actually says about Dembele, he says, forget your Lewandowskis and everyone else that looks good. He says, for me, Dembele is the most important player for Barcelona. He has a lot of time for him. He also got on the score sheet too. And he's a new man. He seems like a new man. He's happy and he's scoring. So your thoughts on Dembele and how, I guess, Barca really did something well in keeping him?
Well, Dembele is an outstanding player, and I understand, and I think that everyone now understands why Xavi was so focused on getting him in the squad. If you want to go for a Dembele type player in the market now, it would cost more than 80 million euros. That's why Barcelona wanted him to stay. I wanted him to renew his contract for Barca. Now everyone understands that, and now everyone is like, you know, like you mentioned, okay, he has changed. He's not the guy that arrived in Barcelona, that he didn't really have good habits in terms of food, in terms of, you know, going out every night and these things. Now if he's focused, he's one of the top 10 players worldwide. And we all agree with that, because, you know, he can play with the right or the left foot at the same time. He's quick and he's fast. He has something that, you know, a World Cup champion told me once, not really a long time ago. He said, you know what Dembele has that none of the players of Barca or Real Madrid has? He has something really, really different. You know, now we are in a football that is very associating, you know, in between people of quality like Benzema, Modric, Ansu Fati. You know, they associate in between them, but he has something that no one of them has, and only Messi has, which is like, you know, the dribbling. And that is the key for Barca. You know, when you are stuck in games like, for example, Rayo Vallecano, that is when he appears, and when he comes out and he says like, okay, give me the ball because I'm going to break this defense. And this is something that could be great for Barca this season for sure.
I suppose with that said, before we move on then, from what we've seen of Barcelona, let's be honest, what people want to see is a title race this time. Obviously, Barcelona gave it their best shot despite the turbulent year they went through last season. And, you know, they did finish second, but with a massive gap, which we know by Barcelona standards, that's not going to cut it. Now they've made some really good signings. From what we've seen from the first two matches, could we have a title race? Because let's be honest, at the moment, we can't really trust Atletico Madrid for one.
Not at this moment with Atletico Madrid, but I'm sure they're going to win and they're going to be up there because of the squad that they have. But I think it's going to be a duel in between Real Madrid and Barca. Real Madrid, for me, they have still a little bit of advantage if you compare it to Barca, because I think they have the same block than last year, and they win easily every game, at least, you know, in these two first legs. Yeah, and for me, the problem that Barca could face this season is the adaptation of the new kids that are in the squad. Maybe, I don't know, Koundé doesn't really get adapt that fast, or maybe, for example, Rafinha. Well, let's see. It depends on that. But I'm pretty sure that by the end of the season, they're going to be fighting for La Liga tournament, because they have players, they have quality, and they have, you know, that squads that maybe Xavi last year didn't have, you know, because if you don't have Rafinha, you have Dembele. If you don't have Dembele, you're going to have Ansu Fati. If not, you're going to have Kessie or Christensen at the back. They have enough players to choose in between to face Real Madrid.
I think so as well. I think I'm definitely very excited about this Barcelona team, just because, and I mean, you mentioned obviously Ansu Fati, who still looks good, Dembele, who's been great, Rafinha, who's an amazing signing. But again, Lewandowski, let's be honest, I think what Lewandowski does is, because he's such a proven goal scorer, if he can offer, you know, you're expecting over 20 goals a season, maybe even closer to 30. And I think that is just something that Barcelona needed. We saw so many times last year where they created chances, as Barcelona do, but they didn't have anybody to finish off these chances perfectly, like a proven, tried and true, you can confide in goal scorer. And I thought they had that in Sergio Aguero. And when Sergio Aguero came on, we were like, yeah, you see. But then unfortunately, we know what happened, and he's had to retire early from Barcelona. So I think having Lewandowski there just gives them a bit more, I suppose, calmness, knowing that they have, all you have to do is get the ball to him, and 90% of the time, you know, he's going to put it on the back of the net. So I think that's going to be an exciting.
He's gonna be the Pichichi, you know, the main scorer.
You did say that. I remember in your predictions. I don't know who I put yet though, but it's gonna be exciting times.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, Lewandowski is, I mean, it's a dream come true for Barca. And I know the Barca fans would say, like, why you say it's a dream come true when we come from the Messi era? But now this moment is a dream come true, because no one expected a big scorer like Lewandowski being at Barca this time, right after what Barca went through in these past months. I mean, if you say to the people by the end of April or by the end of May, Barca is going to have Rafinha, Dembele, and even Lewandowski, you know, Lewandowski, and you're going to steal it from Bayern Munich, which is a direct rival for Champions League, you would say, like, you're crazy. But they got it. And now he's in town. He's really adapted. You know, even I saw on his stories on his Instagram account, like he was skating around the beach. I mean, this is something amazing for Lewandowski, who was kind of used to you know, to those clouds and gray clouds in Munich, and now he has the sun, and he brought the sun for Barca squad. You know, this is something amazing, and it's going to be a great year for him.
Well, as we know, the transfer window is still very much open, but time is ticking away. And even though we just spoke about, you know, the big boys in La Liga and how they're looking, how they're shaping up, there's still a lot of transfer rumors, Rodrigo. Let's start off with Antoine Griezmann at Atletico Madrid. I still know, and as you mentioned, that Diego Simeone has made him a priority. And I think he is happiest when he is at Atletico Madrid. I don't know where else he could go, but what's the latest of what you're hearing about his future? And will it be at the Wanda?
Cell phones are on fire in Atletico Madrid, and I'm going to explain to you why. Because if well, we all know that Griezmann is in a 2-year loan in Atletico Madrid, and he belongs to Barca still. The thing is that if he plays more than 50% of the games he's available, Atletico Madrid has to pay 40 million euros to Barca. The thing is that Atletico Madrid at this moment doesn't really have any cash or enough money to face
economic lever for Barcelona.
Yeah, I know. That would be great for Barca, but they would have to pay that by the end of this season. That's why Atletico Madrid is thinking about this situation and say, like, okay, we don't have enough cash, we don't have money for paying Barca. So let's move on and find a situation, because one of the options that they have is letting Griezmann out of most of the games and not play that 50% of the games he's available, or sit down with Barca and renegotiate the deal, which is the thing that I guess both teams are gonna make in the next weeks, because Simeone's priority is Joe Felix and Griezmann, so he's gonna be starting for Atletico Madrid for sure. So that's why they have to sit down and renegotiate that deal, because if not, they're gonna have an issue.
Yeah, I think Griezmann is definitely happy at Atletico de Madrid, so it would break my heart if I was him, but I don't even think he wants to go. So there you go.
Sure.
Then we speak about Real Madrid. Not much that they need to do. I understand. Obviously, they let Casemiro go, so people are wondering maybe they'll bring a signing in that could just help bolster the squad. That's what champions do. However, I keep thinking, could they not do with another striker? I mean, I know why mess up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Here, Karim Benzema is very good and enjoying his time, enjoying his football. But let's be honest, he is over 30 years old. An injury, he can't recover as quickly as somebody else. I almost want another heir apparent there. There's also rumors about Marco Asensio and what he does and if he's deserving of the treatment he's getting. So Madrid, another striker, do you hearing anything? And what about the future of Asensio?
They are debating inside the club if they sign or not. The thing is that they are not going to sign a defensive midfielder in order to compete with Tchouaméni. They're not going to make it, but it depends on either Asensio or even Mariano, because Mariano, I know we all forgot Mariano, but he's still Real Madrid player. yeah, he's still Real Madrid player. So depending on depending on the situation
in the world.
Yeah, I know. He's never played for Real Madrid when, since he went back. But this is something that Real Madrid is debating now, is they are thinking about that. And I don't really know if they finally are gonna make it, because what they have inside the table or in the table, this is something that they are not convinced about, because the names, the players that they were looking for, they are like, okay, this should be a great striker for Benzema replacement, but they are not convinced about that. So that's why they didn't sign any striker yet. But it depends on Mariano's situation and what happens to Asensio in the next days. Now the situation is that they look like they're gonna stay, but no one knows if by the end of this summer window transfer they're gonna leave. So depending on that, Real Madrid has a plan B for sure.
Oh, they always have a plan B and a plan C. That is one very well-run club. Their biggest rivals, Barcelona, let's talk about them. We've spoken about them and their transfers. Of course, they shocked everyone by all the cash they were able to spend on transfers, but instead of people coming, we do know that they still have yet to register Jules Koundé, so they're looking to activate probably another economic lever somewhere. But two big names that came to Barcelona, Memphis Depay and Aubameyang, now could be on their way out. Before we get to where probably Aubameyang could go, Memphis, what's the latest? Because we hear Juventus are actually really interested.
Yeah, in terms of Memphis Depay, Pavel Nedved, which is one of the most important guys in Juventus board, admitted publicly that they like Memphis Depay. They said that, and he said that is not the only option that they have, but they admitted publicly that they like Memphis Depay. I mean, it's very likely Depay going to Juventus in the next hours even, and it's very likely for Aubameyang to leave Barcelona with Chelsea as the destiny. And those operations would allow Barca to register Koundé and even to go for a left wing that they are looking for. Marcos Alonso has a great personal terms with Barca, but the thing is that he's a little bit expensive. Let's see, finally La Liga would approve this movement, because if not, they're gonna have an issue at the left back, because they want it, and they agree those personal terms with Marcos Alonso maybe 5 or 4 months ago. And it would be really sad for Marcos Alonso not to go back to La Liga, because it's an aspiration that he has.
Aubameyang to Chelsea, things you never think you would see. Loyalty is dead. Arsenal.
He's not signing for Tottenham Hotspur. It would be even worse.
It would be worse. It would be massively worse. But still, I think even though I'm in Manchester, I can hear the groans from Arsenal fans all the way back in North London. So, but yeah. Thanks, Rodrigo. All right, almost time to wrap things up now, Rodrigo. But before we do, we have Preguntas Difíciles, difficult questions, dun, 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 for you to answer specifically. Let's start off with the first one. It has to do with Villarreal. It's more of like a statement, but Villarreal finished top 3 in La Liga if. So what's it going to take for them to finish top 3? We spoke about how they are such a solid team. But they probably do need I say maybe they do need a big name signing here and there, but would that disrupt the current chemistry they have? I don't know. What do you think? What will it take for them to finish top 3?
Well, they would have to make the best league ever in their history, and they need Atletico Madrid to fail, because I'm pretty sure that Sevilla is going to fail, because the sensations of this beginning of La Liga with Lopetegui is not really nice. No, but Betis doesn't have that squad to be up there. Yeah, I'm sure that if Sevilla fails and if Atletico Madrid fails, Villarreal could be up there for sure. Maybe Real Sociedad, because I really trust in Imanol, because he's a great coach and they have a great side. But I think they need to make it perfect. The best league so far in their history, and then they need Atletico Madrid to fail, because last season we saw Atletico Madrid failing, but by the end of the season they got in the third position, so they need that.
Which isn't too far-fetched, I mean, based on what we have seen of Atletico Madrid recently, but I suppose we'll see. I would love to see Atleti competing properly where they do deserve to be. All right, well, speaking of Atleti, and I suppose all the other teams, which Spanish club do you pick to go furthest in Europe? So that's either the Champions League or the Europa League. Who do you think does it? Obviously, Real Madrid did a great shout last time by winning. Do you pick them again, or any kind of dark horse?
I would pick Real Madrid or Barca. I think even Barca is gonna go further this year. I don't know why, but it's a feeling that I have. But I'm gonna say Villarreal, because they are gonna play Conference League and they are the main contenders to win the title. I know that this is not as difficult as Champions League or Europe League, but they're gonna be in the final for sure. Yeah, it's another European Cup.
Beat, or you can only win what's in front of you. So there you go. And I know how Villarreal love winning stuff in Europe. I know that firsthand. Next question. Which La Liga player has the biggest transfer value? So is there anyone out there that you think has a good chance that maybe we're not even watching of joining a massive club in Europe?
Well, I mean, the best value in La Liga should be Vinicius, but he's already in a big team. Yeah. But apart, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, I would choose maybe Jeremy Pino from Villarreal. We're talking a lot about Villarreal.
We're loving the yellow submarine.
Yeah, we love them, and they're making things really well. I would say Jeremy Pino, because he's still on the verge of leaving Villarreal, because lots of clubs from the Premier League or even from La Liga are chasing him. I think he would be, around 60 million euros transfer. He's young, he's talented, he's been already called up by Spain's national team, and he's the kind of right back that he's very fast and he has a person, but he has features. So that's why I would say Jeremy Pino from Villarreal, top 1. Keep an eye on him.
All right, you heard it here first from Rodrigo. And then final question, difficult question. I mean, can we ever have a show without mentioning either Neymar or Messi, or Mbappe, actually, even though neither of them play in La Liga anymore? But we always like to keep an eye on how things are going at PSG, and they do give us a lot of drama to talk about, let's be honest. There's been yet another alleged bust up, I suppose, between Messi and Neymar. Not Messi and Neymar, Mbappe and Neymar, rather, because we know Neymar and Messi have mad love for each other. But if things eventually continue like this, you eventually think something's got to give, and one of the two have to go. And the top destination you would assume for either of them, given Real Madrid's top interest in Mbappe, and let's be honest, everybody, even though, yes, we know he's just signed a new contract, but hypothetically speaking, if one of them had to leave the Liga and PSG, who do you see coming back to La Liga first? Either Neymar coming back, or will Mbappe actually finally go where he hinted he said he wanted to go to?
I would say Neymar, because of this bust up. Because, now the guy who's in charge of PSG is not Al-Khelaifi, is not Luis Campos, is Mbappe.
Yep.
And I understand that Neymar is in, you know, in the exit gate to leave PSG by the end of this season, I think. And I would see Neymar like going back, imagine, to Barca.
But
yeah, it could be something that could happen in the near future. Why not? I mean, if Barca gets the money and if Barca wants to reinforce the attack, why not getting back Neymar? I see Neymar, you know, very likely to go back much before Mbappe, because Mbappe has signed a 3-year renewal for PSG, and I think, you know, he's going to be in a jail these 3 years. Doesn't really matter if he wants to go back or he comes to Madrid or whatever, that he has to be there 3 years more. So I would say Neymar, no?
I honestly, I agree with you on that one, because I know that everyone talks about how Barcelona have burnt their bridges with Neymar, or Neymar actually has burnt his bridges with Barcelona. But I don't think he's burnt them as deeply as people think or suggest. And I think with Xavi there now, he can help smooth things over, because he does know him, and it's I feel like he can reason with him on a different level. So I agree with you. I think Neymar, if anything happens. But if that does happen, whoo, that will be the day, and La Liga will be even more interesting than it already is. So thank you, as always, my partner in crime, Rodrigo. Thank you guys for tuning into this edition of LaLigaCentro. We're just getting started, man. Like, plenty to talk about, as you can see. This has been a long episode, but so much going on. So much to still go on. I'm at Espanyol against Real Madrid this coming weekend. Rodri, where are you?
Valencia Atletico Madrid on Monday.
Ooh, so again, 2 dramatic matches. And then remember, the Madrid derby is coming up in about 2-3 weeks or so. That will be
on. We're going to be there.
And we're going to be there pitch side with the whole cavalry. So I hope you guys tune in. But the next LaLigaCentro episode, you can look out for it on September 7th. And we'll see what juicy stories pop up then.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.